2024 legislative session, I stand here today to highlight critical issues surrounding our criminal justice reform and conditions within the Florida correctional institutions. And as elected officials, it is our duty to listen. God gave us 2 years, right? So we got to listen to all voices and to act in the best interest of justice. The dignity and rights of every individual, regardless of circumstances, must be upheld within our criminal justice system. Criminal justice reform is not simply about punishment. It must also be about rehabilitation of offenders into contributing members of our society. I don't know if you know this, but Florida is home to the 3rd largest state prison system in this country, overseen by the Florida Department of Corrections, an entity of immense responsibility and authority, might I add. The department is tasked with the incarceration of over 80,000 incarcerated constituents and the supervision of more than 146,000 offenders in our communities that are serving time in their probation. The scope of his influence is very profound, and with such power comes an inherent responsibility to ensure that justice, fairness, and humane treatment for every individual under our custody. There are kids, they belong to the state. I don't know if we're great parents, are we? I tend to wonder. Now I gotta give kudos to my office, Allison Kuhn, Jose Vasquez, and Sarah Foster. Because I gotta tell you,
they made this possible.
Thank you very much for my staff. But you know, my staff receives inundated letters with hundreds of letters from those incarcerated within our state prisons. These letters shed real light on the myriad of issues plaguing our correctional facilities, issues that demand our immediate attention as lawmakers and tax-paying citizens. The concerns expressed range from reports of inmate abuse, falsified disciplinary reports, an unaddressed inmate request form, to lack of better adequate medical treatment. My office has assisted those incarcerated by obtaining various healthcare needs that the contracted health provider should be appropriately providing without having that intervention. Other grievances extend to matters as basic as answers to transfer requests and food portions. By the way, Rep. Hart and I visited Zephyr Hills. And guess what we did? We said we want to go to the chow room. And guess what we did? We sat and ate that chow with the brothers that were in there. And we made the warden sit and eat the chow with us. And let me tell you, I mean, oh God, the guys thanked us for being there that day because they received a much larger portion than normally. And we made it a point to say that, hey, you know, you will not continue to do this. So, yeah, look who's right here behind me. I see my rep Hart, my ride or die. So, you know, these grievances are real. And having visited prisons across the state, I have witnessed these issues firsthand, and my office fields these difficult calls daily. While we've been up here in Tallahassee, the well-being of the incarcerated constituents here in Florida have still been on my mind on a daily basis. Just this past week, I heard a report from a 2-year-long study on the Florida prisons and their findings of what we've been saying for a long time. And this is the KPMG study. This is an important study right here. So we had this conversation the other day, and this study was a 2-year study in the Florida prisons. Their findings are what we have been saying since 2018 that our community blessed us to be here representing our community. And these Florida prisons are falling apart. They are in such poor conditions, the doors and windows are corroding and the roofs are deteriorating. This poor ventilation system means that these incarcerated constituents have to deal with the extreme cold, we've been having and the extreme heat when the summertime comes, because our prisons do not have air conditioning, nor are they equipped infrastructurally to really have the flow of air. So it may be hard to remember now, but this past summer we experienced the hottest summer on record, considering that we're freezing out here this morning. Temperatures were over 100 degrees outside, and inside of the facilities they were up to at least 115 to 120 degrees in our state prisons. This is inhumane. People cannot live or work under those conditions. We need to encourage my colleagues and fellow state representatives and senators to support legislation to fix this, like HB 181, Senate Bill 296, and HB 233 and Senate Bill 1702. These bills will require our prisons to provide air conditioning. No one should have to live in those extreme temperatures, especially here in the state of Florida. Unfortunately, the lack of air conditioning is just one of many issues that need to be addressed with our prison systems. I will continue to work with Florida Cares and advocates for the issues of game time, parole, improved transparency and accountability within the Florida Department of Corrections, and improve the health care for our incarcerated constituents, and improving the re-entry process. But most importantly, we need to elevate the quality of the people that we're hiring in the Department of Corrections that have a little bit more education, that has a little bit more sense of what it is to help to correct behaviors rather than harden them and become just hard. And it's very tough, right? So the goals of the prisons should be to rehabilitate and prepare to reintegrate back into their life once they've been released, not to torture them, not to set them up for failure after spending years in prisons so that they're right back where they started from. That is not fair. That is not what we as Americans believe. At least this American and this American back here and all this right here don't believe in that type. We need to try and see how we can continue to bring programs to our students. We need to our students, and I say our students because they start in school. You know, this begins in school. When you cannot read at the age of 9, that is a trajectory of planning when the next prisons are going to be built and how many prisons we need to build. So it starts at school. It starts at home as well. So parents, families, we need to, as a community, garnish our time, ensure that our kids have a right path so that then they don't wind up in this correctional facility where the odds are definitely against them. So I encourage each and every one of you, all of the advocates here today, to continue to call, email, request meetings with your state representatives and your senators on matters of criminal justice. And let's bring some caring nature back into rehabilitating our incarcerated loved ones that have made a mistake, and it's time for second chances. They work for you. We work for you. They're constituents, and they need to hear from you on what prison conditions are actually like and how it can be improved. I will continue to bring attention to these issues in any way I can, and this book right here will be the first guiding light right here, besides, of course, the moral duty of doing what's right. Now, I will introduce to you my ride or die, my friend, my fellow sweet mate, my fellow, well, she's still my seatmate, right? Representative Diane Hart. Diane,
I am State Representative Diane Hart. I come to you from House District 63. Those of you all who know me know that when I got elected in 2018, prison reform, criminal justice reform was a priority for me. It still is a priority for me. Back at home, many people say, well, we don't hear you saying anything about anything else. Well, I do work on other pieces of legislation, but to have 80,000 people incarcerated and they're just warehousing our loved ones is far too much for me. So let me just say this to you all. I have a little speech, I'll read a little bit of it, but for me, I don't even need a speech to tell you how I feel. But because for too long we've allowed those incarcerated in the state of Florida to endure conditions that have done to an animal, you would be prosecuted. It is criminal. Our correctional system is flawed, and we know that. However, many people believe that it only applies to the process. that sends people to prison and not what occurs inside of our prisons. Many times, those incarcerated are invisible. You hear me? That they literally are invisible to plenty of my colleagues in the Florida House, to those in our society, and to our legislators on a regular. But I'm grateful to tell you all, this year, for the first time, we have had more Republican legislators to visit prisons than ever in history. For the longest time, we've taken an out-of-sight, out-of-mind approach to our prison system. And it has left us with dorms that are crumbling and full of mold. Medical providers who don't provide medical treatment. You all know how I feel about Centurion. Everybody knows, including the governor office and your secretary. They all know how I feel about them. Countless deaths at the hands of a system with no oversight. I'm proud to champion the bills in the legislature that we've crafted with the input of those incarcerated, those who were formerly incarcerated, and plenty of people who've never been incarcerated that had loved ones who were. These bills look to deal with some of the root causes of the problems we're seeing in our Department of Corrections. Not corrections, right? House Bill 233, the treatment of inmates, establishes a Bill of Rights for those incarcerated in our prisons. Well, let me stop right there and tell you all that just a couple of weeks ago, I heard our secretary say there will be no air conditioning. That's not a priority. Okay, he said it's not a priority. There's other things that are at the top of the poll. It specifies that inmates in our state prisons have rights and must be made aware of those rights upon entry into custody of the Florida Department of Corrections. I'm not asking you for anything in particular. Protect people. Let them know that. And please, you all who have loved ones, please tell them, sign an ROI so that when something's happening to your loved ones, somebody can find out what's going on. Because I have to do it every day. One of the major problems we have with our system is the fact that it does not correct. It's overcrowded. That is why I filed for the 5th year in a row, HB 235. This bill will allow first-time nonviolent offenders who complete educational classes to reduce their game time from 85 to 65, but they don't want to hear it. This bill will allow the individuals who know that we know that will be returning to our communities to have the necessary skills to do so and to help reduce the population of overcrowding. In sessions past, the analysis of this bill was that it would save $850 million over a 5-year period. That's real money, $850 million. Money we can put into insurance that we need so desperately. Lastly, I've refiled a bill that the House passed last year, House Bill 237, that we got no movement in the Senate, but it moved off the House floor, so let's pray it'll be headed that way again. That was Ava's law. The bill will give a judge the discretion to allow a pregnant woman to give birth to her baby before having to go off to prison and begin her sentence. This bill is a result of the tragedy that occurred over in Alachua County Jail, where Erica Thompson gave birth to her baby Ava in a cell by herself, and the baby died. It is time that the legislature acts. We cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different outcome. Far too long, we've ignored the problems, and now it's costing us more to fix them because of our own neglect. It's time to wake up and do the work because people's lives are depending on it. So for you all who know me, know that I will continue this fight for the next 2 years. I will be reelected. I'm absolutely positive. And I will continue this fight. We have some other bills that we're working on. I'm telling you, I need you all knocking on the Republican doors. They're the ones that won't allow bills to be agended and to be heard. They're the only ones who can. We have no power to make that happen. So I need you all to be knocking on their doors, calling them, sending letters. There are thousands of us around this state that are working in the criminal justice field. We've got to band together and make this happen. So thank you all for allowing me to say hello.
Formerly incarcerated, and just want to ask him to share his story and talk for a couple minutes with us today. Troy?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Buenos dias. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Boca tov. Sabal Keri. Bon dia. And ja. I say good morning in 7 different languages. This is something that I learned in prison. For 33 years, I was inmate DC number 182204. But today, I'm a student majoring at Miami-Dade College. My major is psychology because there's a lot of people that's been traumatized by the institution called prison. And I refuse to be one of those people. So you tell your loved ones to stay positive and continue to do positive things and surround yourself with like-minded people while in prison. I heard a great man by the name of Malik Al-Haj Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X, say, prison could be an institution of learning or a university if you allow it to be. There's a statute, 20.315, that mandates that the Department of Corrections ensure that your loved one is not victimized. Read it sometimes. We need to begin to understand what laws are and how they apply to our loved ones and how they apply to you. The 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution guarantees equal protection and due process of law to every citizen of the United States. Because you're incarcerated does not deprive you of your citizenship. You are still, first and foremost, a human being, and you're a citizen of the United States with guaranteed rights. I want to say to you, I appreciate each one of you, especially our beloved Congresswoman, Diane Hart as well, each and every one of you for your advocacy for these guys inside, these people inside. We need you. And I heard a guy that was born on the same day as me, he's coaching in Colorado now. They call him Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. He says, we here, we are here, and we are not going anywhere. Thank you.
I'm Keith Harris, and the prior speaker was Troy Martin. Troy Martin was in prison me at the age of 19. We became certified law clerks in prison. That day forward, while we were in, we knew what our rights were. We practiced enforcing our rights. We wouldn't tolerate it, and you're not to tolerate it here today. We've been fighting for years, and we're going to continue. And you've got the support of the Florida legislator. Florida cares. Continue to come, continue to fight, continue to believe that the legislators are going to make these changes because the people that are taking care of your families can't. They don't know how. We need real change, and it's going to come from this place here. Thank you all very much for coming here.
You know, when you think about the canteen is an issue, right? I mean, we need to remind folks that when one of our loved ones is in prison, the family is also in prison. And it's very hard. We know that $15 an hour ain't a living wage, especially now here in the state of Florida, when rent has gone skyrocket, when we have other issues that affect our economy, such as the lack of insurance reform that we need. There's so much to do. And unfortunately, we have been kicking things down the road. The next legislature will fix it. The next legislator will fix it. And we have to stop making pieces of legislation like we check our spaghetti to see if it's ready for dinner. Stick it to the wall, see if it happens, hey, it's ready. We need to stop doing that, and we need to be a little bit more thoughtful about the policies that we are carrying forth. So your voices, just don't ever think that your voices go unheard. I knew a coach, Gruden, that said, continue to pound that rock, right? Go Bucks, I love my Bucks, I'm so proud of them. But yes, so we need to continue to pound that rock and make sure that your voices are heard. And just ensure, as Mr. Martin said, continue to tell your loved ones to stay positive, to try and stay out of the foolishness. And if foolishness comes their way, run from it, right? Go on the other side.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
You are the light of the world. Let your light shine inside these dark hallways so that the love of God may shine on the face of everyone who keeps saying no so they can find a yes in their life and in their work. You know, last week we had an esteemed legislator blame all the problems in Florida on preachers. I saw it with my own eyes. Because we're not preaching strong enough. Right? We're not preaching strong enough, and so children are going the wrong way. So here's what I want to say before my prayer. Our loved ones may have committed an offense and are suffering the consequences of that, but theirs is not the sin alone. It is sinful to put any human being in a masonry box and lock the door so that the air cannot flow through it, and it becomes an adobe oven in the summer and a refrigerator in the winter. That is sinful. And so we have to understand that sin is not just what a person does, sin is also what a state does when it does wrong by its citizens. And so I just want to be a strong preacher today and preach against sin. I want to preach against sin that dehumanizes our loved ones.
Yes.
I've had somebody incarcerated. Everybody here has had somebody incarcerated that they love. And they know that they come back with something deep inside of them that tells them somehow, no matter what I did wrong, society has yet to do right by me. And we are here today in the name of God, with the light shining from our heart, with love bursting from within us, to say, let us be a people to do right by everyone in all of our systems, with all of our institutions. Right?
Yes.
That's why we gather here, to do right by everyone. When the love of God can shine through both our hearts and the ways the state of Florida treats all of its citizens, we will be a people who prosper for the whole world to say, now that's the way to be. So I've set you up for Rep Stark. Go Rep!
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. And I'm glad that you come and talk to us and tell us your stories on a regular basis, right? So I just want to let you know that we have a couple of bills that we are running. We're trying to get those into committee. One is dealing with autism and training our law enforcement officers how to deal with autistic individuals and make sure that everyone is safe, because if they know what they're looking for and they know how to address them properly, then there's a lot less, number one, dangerous incidents, and number two, some of them would never go to jail either because they do get arrested. And also we protect the law enforcement officers as well, just because then, they're not at harm as much as normal. And also it prevents lawsuits and people having to deal with those kinds of issues out of those incidents. So that's one. The other thing that I want to share with you is we are trying to run a bill. It's called Restorative Justice, and it is a victims bill. A lot of times we talk about our offenders, and they do need help. And these victims will have the opportunity to ask to be able to talk to the offender, and then they can have some kind of peace and understanding of what has happened and in whatever their incident is in their lives, and helps with the healing process from both sides so that everybody can move forward with a little bit more healthy understanding and attitude. We hope these go forward. You can talk to all of your legislators and tell them to help get that going, right? So I'm happy to try to get those forward for you, and just keep coming and talking to us and keep coming to the committee meetings. I mean, we've gotten where we pretty much know you guys when you show up.
Would you turn your hearts and your minds to prayer or meditation and pause and join me? Gracious God, you are slow to anger. You are filled with abundant mercy, and your loving kindness never fails us. Especially is it ever attentive and at the side of our loved ones who are incarcerated in the state of Florida, who struggle with the demands of probation and the onus that's put upon them to get their lives back together. We ask today that you give each of us here the strength to make your love shine through us as we visit with legislators and tell the stories of our families. Help them to feel what we feel. Help them to see what we see. Help them to know what we know. And help them to do what we pray is the will of God, to make life right, to help our loved ones find the way forward to a prosperous future, to be able to come back in to our homes and our communities with the opportunity to prosper and do right. Let them get the education that they were denied. Let them find the truth that was constantly being hidden from them. But most of all, we ask that you keep them safe and that you reduce the violence within the system, that you help the guards and the wardens become people whose humanity goes forward in everything that they do inside prisons. We ask that you help our state understand that when we lock up one person and take away their future, somehow you've harmed all of us. Help us to see that we are not islands unto ourselves, but the way we treat the most traumatized people in our society, whether they are victims or offenders, is the way that we have deep inside ourselves also been hurt. We share each other's sorrows. Let us share each other's joys, because you are the God who sets the captives free. And so, please help us bring that message home today, to let the captives go free in the name of your glorious power and love. Amen.
Lined up like that. One on one end.
Yeah, Troy, would there be a window?
Some cells do.
Some?
Some.
Are they little?
Yeah, they're like this big. Like, exactly. There you go.
A day they're that
like
big,
that.
and it has a knob.
In the summertime,
The wall sweat.
no air coming out. If it does, it's hot air.
We're coming out of where?
The window.
The little window.
Oh, yeah. And how is the winter?
Freezing. They assign you a bunk.
Yeah, okay.
Right? They assign you a bunk now. Right? But in my time, I went in the 86. Right? First one in the cell, whatever, you on the bottom. So that's why the other guy come in and he said, okay, I can take advantage of this bunk. Right? And he would say, hey man, I'm getting that bottom bunk.
Hang on, Miss Judy. I got to take
Right.
up your photo. I
Right?
started
So what it
video.
is.
It's like a power struggle.
Exactly. Right? And then so I might not want to fight, and I say, you got it, man. Right? So the next day I'll move out the cell.
On
Let
your
them
own?
have it. Yeah, get off.
You asked.
No, ain't no ass. I drag my property out, and the officer said, what's going on? I said, I ain't staying in there. And they gonna give me a choice. Go back in there or you go to confinement.
Oh.
Right? So I might go to confinement. What they call checking in. Check the custody.
Yeah, I know.
Person who's sleeping on this bunk, unless you know them, you cannot do this. Step on their bed and get up here if you're sleeping on the top. You cannot do that.
He might have won you with the shoes on the toilet. Oh,
And
that's
so
count
during
time.
count time, this is how John, come and show them how we do at count. So at count time, can you get up for a second? Oh yeah. So at count time, this is how you have to be when the officers come. One of us here and one of us there. And they're gonna say, Martin, DC number. I say 182204. Vicente, DC number.
192043.
Then they go to the next cell. That's what they call count. Right? Now, in Lake Butler, which you guys know as RMC, we're going to be like this for 2 to 3 hours. No using the bathroom, no writing. Now, today you guys have tablets. We didn't have that, right? No writing, no playing cards, no talking, right? So we're going to be like this and facing the wall for 2 to 3 hours.
A couple times a day. For them to finish count.
Yes.
It takes 2 to 3 hours. They can't count.
So why they do that is because they're doing 8-hour shifts. If we count on one shift twice for 3 hours, what that mean? They don't have to deal with us for 6 hours.
Okay.
Right? So they'll use the 2 hours for child time. There's no rec, no canteen, right? So what they do is they want to chew up the time. It's just like when you go to work, for all the people that work, right? If you spend 6 hours on the phone, then what that mean? You only work 2 hours.
That means I'll collect unemployment.
Right? So that's what they do. You know, this is why they have CM, right? Because if they got you in lockdown, guess what? Only thing I do is come around and count you.
Right.
Right? You don't have to take you to rent. You don't have to take you to the canteen. Right? So
So do they wake you up in the middle of the night to do count?
There's no like
Huh?
Do they wake you up in the middle of the night to do counts?
now so on the midnight shift, they don't. So they have 3 shifts. They have from 8 to 4, 4 to 12, 12 to 4. So the 12 to 4 is considered midnight. They'll count you while you sleep. But the other 2 shifts, 8 to 4 and 4 to 12, you have to be like this, sitting up.
hours.
Yes.
Especially like in the
A couple times a day, a couple hours.
Yeah, especially in the reception center is the worst.
And you cook it cold.
After the count clears, do we ever have what they call like a mercy count?
Recount, absolutely.
Recount.
So they say, count clear. So I jump down. I can't touch his bump. Let's be cool. I jump down. I go out, go on the phone. I call my wife. I'm talking. Recount, recount. And I said, baby, I gotta go. She said, but you just got on the phone. I said, listen, oh, Martin, you got 2 seconds to get off that phone and we're going. Hey, babe, I'm going.
And you're paying for that phone call.
Right.
And she's paying for that phone.
Back to the bump. Watch my head this time. Right? Then they come back. Martin, DC number 182204. Sente, DC number
092043.
And we sitting here till they say recount, till they say clear count.
Can you talk to each other? But if you don't like it,
Absolutely
you can't
not.
even talk.
Absolutely
you can't
not.
even
No
talk.
talking. No
Oh, my
writing. No
goodness.
tablet.
No.
Yes, sir.
That's like when you're in a dungeon or you're in a disciplinary camp, right? That's how y'all live.
Absolutely not.
That's
This
what
is
they
the
say.
regular cell.
That's being honest. But I ask you this here. How many meals do y'all eat within a 12-hour shift? Within the 12-hour period. Y'all eat all y'all meals probably between 4 in the morning and 4 in the evening.
Okay, so when we were in, they used to roll the doors at 4:15. You go to breakfast anywhere from 5 to 7. Right? Okay. Now, if you when they call your dorm, or if you in RMC, your cell block, right? Because you got open bay dorms, then you have cell blocks, right? Now, in the cell blocks is this 2-man cells, and open bay dorms, they're bunks like you were living in at the advocacy center. See the open space that you guys in? That's how an open bay dorm is. But you in a 2-man cell, this is how it is. Now, if you go to Florida State Prison in the Rock, they have 1-man cell because 2 people couldn't be. That's going to be a fight automatic. You know. So in Florida State Prison is in Stark, Florida. It's 1-man cell. There's no 2-man. That would be a killing.
Really?
Because-
Everyone is a one-man cell?
But
Yeah.
This what I was trying to, I'm really trying to get them to understand that. Because I see some of the signs I love is hungry. They feed you all your meals for the day, and most penal institutions.
In a short period of time.
In a short period of time.
Right.
So by 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
and then not only that, see what he's saying about this here? When you're in solitary, you're in a smaller cell.
Yes. Solitary the confinement or the box or administrative confinement, disciplinary confinement, close management is smaller than this.
And if you're in a disciplinary dungeon and you're in if you have a cellie, I don't know if they do it in Florida. Do they feed y'all in the cells anywhere in there, Troy? Do they feed y'all anywhere in the cells with the 2 men in the cells?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
imagine this here, because I lived in this scenario. I know you lived in this scenario, and I know you lived in this scenario. Your child's in your cell, you're getting ready to eat, and your cellie can't hold it. He has to stand here to use the bathroom.
Yes.
And your food's in here.
Yes.
You can't hold it. You gotta go, but you're trying to eat. You know, those are conditions that also affect when you're
Oh, let me tell you, this is, ladies, this is important. If I have to use the bathroom and John is in here, I have to turn my back to him.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So now, the danger with that is, let's say an officer is walking by doing because they're supposed to do a walkthrough every hour. So I'm using it, right, making the rounds. I'm using the urinal, and the female officer walks by.
Sex offense.
Right.
So you know what happens now, right? What's going to happen?
Right up. Or right up.
I'm going to disciplinary confinement. Right? And the worst part is now, they can put it in my jacket that I'm a sex offender.
Yeah, but that's for the rest of his life. But the same woman probably come to the shower and count you.
Exactly.
But if she see, and now you're not doing that to discover, you're doing a natural act, using the bathroom. But if she sees your exposed self, that's using a writer.
Yes.
But at the same time, if he was in the shower and she had to come through, she will walk through and you know. So it's catch-22. But men are not allowed to count women in a women's prison.
Exactly.
Wait, men aren't allowed.
The important thing is count. So if I'm supposed to be on that bump for count and I have to go to the bathroom and she comes by or he comes by and I'm down there using the urinal, it ain't no emergency, none of that. It's cuff up.
Cuff up. And if you don't apply for 3, it's spraying mace on you.
Right.
And making you pay
so
for
she's
the
gonna
mace
tell
you sprayed
you,
on.
cuff up. So I gotta turn around, 2-man cell has a slot, turn around, put my hands through the slot, cuff up, come out. Now the first thing they're gonna say is, you pulling out on one of my female officers? So you know what's coming next, right? What's coming next?
Mace.
Getting beat up.
Oh, the guys are going to beat them up.
The officers are gonna beat me
Yeah,
up.
and no one has any
You know?
oversight on that.
And that's another thing, like let's just say he refused to come to the cell, and somebody else is in the cell. I don't know, but they usually come with the mace, and they're gonna tell your cell to strap up,
Yes.
take yourself best you can, and
Yes.
they're gonna mace him down.
Yes.
Oh, no.
And
So-
not only that, everybody on the till is gonna be
Yes.
facing the toilet, trying to breathe.
So
facing the
what
toilet.
happens when they mace one person? It sprays.
Yeah.
It's all over. So what happens is, let's say they come to mace me and John is in the cell. He's gonna have to get his mattress and his sheets, right? He's gonna have to wet them before they get them. Wet them and you put them over your head.
Oh, my God.
It's still not gonna help.
Now,
Why can't you do that?
they come, oh no, but if I do that, then they're gonna say, the charges are gonna be trumped up.
Like resisting or something?
Yes, there you go. There you go. So it's gonna go from disobeying a verbal order, right,
Disobedience, defiance,
to 1,000 things. That one charge become 10.
and they'll send a
Right.
cell entry team with that electric shield
Exactly.
or something
What they
like
call the extract team. So they have an electric shield, right? That if it touches you, well, I'm gonna give you the explanation they told me. That you ejaculate, you defecate, and you urinate all at the same time as you pass out.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
So all the extremities, I mean everything's, because it's electric. So they just touch you with it and
You go out.
you out.
I've been hit with that.
And when you wake up, you hog tied.
Like a taser?
You know, your feet are shackled, your hands are shackled, and they got it tied with a chain. So they carry you. 4 officers, each one of them get a corner, like you're carrying the table, and they carry you like that.
And then,
Absolutely. Right now today, 2024.
They do whatever they
What about
want.
the black box, Troy? Did they have a black box?
Yeah, they had a black box too.
When you put
Yeah.
the black box on the fender, I got
Yeah.
pictures of me and my mom filming them like this here. They got one go like this here, they got one
Right,
go
so
like
they have a black box that they put over the cuffs, because you got some guys that what you call can slip the cuffs. Some kind of way, some guys, and my hands are not really big for the, but you guys, and it hasn't anything to do with the size of your hand. It's a technique that some guys have where they can do something to the lock and they can get the cuffs out,
a chef.
right? So generally,
I just want to.
Incarcerated.
33 years. I went in 1986 at 19 years old, and I was paroled on November 19th, 2029. So parole means to continue your sentence in society. So I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Oh, so after 25 years, I went up for parole. They said, we'll see you in 2.5 years. So I went up again, 2.5 years. They said, we'll see you in 2 years. I went up again in 2 years. They said, we're going to send you to FIU. We'll see you in 2 years. So I went from Sumter with GQ to Everglades. So I was there 2 years. They said, we'll see you in a year and a half. Year and a half went by. They said, we'll see you in a year. A year went by. They said, we'll see you in 9 months. So I went up 6 times, right, before I was granted parole.
And what were they say your parole date again?
So it's various factors. So my story is that I began selling drugs in my neighborhood at 11 years old. So I was influential in my neighborhood called Overtown in Miami. So I was a bad influence. I had a lot of junior high school kids. We were selling drugs and we had a clique. Some guys came from Opelika to take me out. And in turn, I was able to get away by the grace of God. And I caught one of them later on and I killed him. So Janet Reno offered me 20 years because they understood the situation. But me not understanding the law, that's why I said it's important that you guys learn the law. I didn't know what premeditated murder meant. And the jury explains that it could take a split second or it could be a forethought. That means you can plan it, you know, because me and this guy, when we saw each other, we shoot at each other. He get away, I get away, police come, and, you know, until I caught up with him. So the gist of the story is there was no stand your ground. There was no self-defense. None of that stuff that George Zimmerman used. I didn't have that. That wasn't available in Florida. So I went to trial. You know, I turned down the 20 years. I went to trial. I was found guilty. First degree murder. I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for 25 years, which I wound up doing 33 years. Okay. And I apologize to my victim, Anthony Taylor, his family. I never forget them because while I was in prison, one of my brothers was murdered. So I know both sides of the spectrum. And in my lifetime, 2 of my brothers and 1 of my sisters and my niece and my aunt were murdered. So so I live, you know, both sides. I'm the 10th of my mom's 11 children. And so, I mean, that's been my life. The majority of my life has been in this right here.
But look at you now, though.
So absolutely. So that's the thing I want to say. I was paroled on November 19th, 2019, and I'm the only one out of CGP to go from monthly reporting to termination. What that means is every 2 years on life parole, I come up here to Tallahassee to the Florida Parole Commission, which is now called the Florida Commission on Offender Review. So as serving a life sentence, every 2 years I will come before them and they will review what I've done in society. Going to college, I got professors calling, right? I have people that I'm doing, working at the 501Cs. I'm passing out backpacks for the kids in impoverished areas, Opelika, Liberty City, Overtown, right? At my church, we're feeding the homeless, right? We do Liberty City Elementary School, which is a historic black school. We feed that school once a month, and we hook up with the principal, who I know personally, Principal Johnson, and Assistant Principal Linda Jones, and we coordinate with them. We feed the students sometimes once a week off the Bahamian Conch Shack, which is my best friend's food truck. So we do community service. So when the parole commission found it out, they said, okay, instead of you coming back in 2 years, they said you come back in a year and a half. So I went back in a year and a half, right? And along with this guy who spoke for me, John Vicente, who was also terminated from parole after 38 years in prison. So they said termination. So I'm off. I can get my passport. I'm soon to go to my dad's native Jamaica. So that's it.
I got one last question.
Yes, sir.
What made it so hard for you to make parole 6 times?
So when I began, I started off in a place called Rayford. That's where they have death row at. And that place there, from the time you get off the bus, they sizing you up. So, but I've been taught from the county jail, they said, boy, little boy, when you get to Rayford, because that's where you're going with a life sentence in the 80s. When you get to Rayford, you better snap. So when I got off the bus and I seen the old school looking at me, I said, old school, looking at me. You talking to me, Chip? I said, behind you. They said, oh, he ain't, you see what I'm saying? They got to find a weak. It's just like you see the animal in the wilderness, right? That baby one or that weak one, you got it.
You gotta be strong.
Right? So when I come like that, but I've been taught in the county jail, boy, you got life. When you get to prison, you better snap. So now, the next thing is that's the first phase. Because somebody may say, man, Jit just bluffing, right? So they might come in the shower and get next to you. So, okay, get out the shower. John, you got a knife? Go in the shower, I'll catch you, right? Go get you. right? So my first 15 years, I wasn't this guy that you saw. I was a guy surviving, like most of you people who have family ones and loved ones in there. They first, because you have to adjust to a whole new world, especially you a person that never been in trouble like me. I was a first time offender, right? So, you have to adapt, and either you're going to be a victim or you're going to be one of the stand-up people in the environment. So you have a choice, and I choose to survive. That's my story, but I was paroled out, so I'm here. Like I said, we here, right? We not going anywhere. We left a bunch of people behind, and for you guys who don't know, I spoke to the Florida Senate in October about bringing parole back. Yes. Parole was terminated in the state of Florida on October 1st, 1995. That means that people who are coming in after that date are not eligible for parole. Me, since my offense was committed in the 80s, I was eligible, right? So I'm here. So they closed the door on a bunch of people just like me that's still in there, right? And I'm a first-time offender, right? Okay, I was able to adapt, adjust. As a country, as the greatest nation on earth, we believe in second chances. We believe in redemption, right? These things are real. It was a lady that asked me a while ago, she said, "You really did 33 years? And I said, "Miss, this is not a game. This is for real." And they're warehousing people throughout the country. As the greatest nation on earth, we have more people in prison than any other country in the entire earth, the entire universe that we know. And why is that? And we have people sleeping on the streets every day, right? In the greatest nation on earth. Doesn't make any sense to me. I think that our funds could be better exhausted. Now, especially here at Florida Cares, we don't condone crime. We don't endorse crime, right? But we do believe that, again, because you go to prison, you don't lose your humanity, right? You don't lose your basic human rights. This is the thing that Martin Luther King, we just celebrated him last week. This is the thing what he was talking about, right? What you call inalienable rights. Rights that you can't separate from person to person. And I know some of the people have said, "Oh, my son is in there, my daughter's in there, my loved one's in there with a murderer." Guess what? The murderers were the best people they want to be around. You wouldn't think that because of the perception that society has given you of us. But when you look at me, did you see a murderer?
No.
Is that what you see? Because if you do, then something's wrong with your mind. Your eyes operate through your brain. So something is wrong with that, right? And it's not what you've done, right, that defines who you are. We've all done something, except that man on that cross. That's the only one who haven't done anything, but come as a redeemer for all of us. So if you really believe, because when I go to parole hearing, some of my friends still in there, and the victims come up, and their family members, and they're, "Oh, he killed my son, he killed my..." Okay, guess what? No disrespect, but if you're a person of God, if you're a child of God, as you claim, right? Then where's mercy? Right? Where's mercy? Right? This is why I use the word mercy, because this is what the Father from heaven cried out for. Right? Mercy. Right? And we all want it, but we don't want to give it.
Forgive everybody.
And healing begins with forgiveness. You can't have healing if you don't have forgiveness.
That's right.
So if it's not in your heart, you can go to church every day if you want. Because you're just doing a routine.
You're not believing,
right? And even in the scripture it says, obedience is better than sacrifice. You see? So you could burn all the candles and censers you want. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
And brujeria, santeria, whatever you believe in. But if it ain't in your heart, right? Tu corazón es malo, tú eres malo. I said if your heart is bad, then you bad.
That's right.
Right? So that's where it begins. Right? And before it gets to your heart, it has to be in your brain. Right? Because thinking, you're thinking. And I read somewhere that such as a person thinketh, so is he.
Yeah.
Right? So it goes from your mind, it goes to your heart, and it saturates your spirit.
There you go. I know that. That's right. It saturates.
So, you know, these are the things that we need to understand. But your loved ones need to surround themselves.
Here, I got a question. Real quick, I know you have to go. Like you said, the first 15 years you were on survival. So what changed and what did you do different after that?
So,
did you find God then? Or?
No, I didn't. What I did was I found that the lifestyle that I was living kept landing me in this thing called confinement.
So how did you switch? Like how did you change?
And it gets so listen to me. Going to confinement. So okay, y'all see this right here?
Yeah.
This is normal living in prison. Confinement is smaller than this. And depending on the institution you at, they put you in a cell with somebody even smaller than this.
Yeah.
Right? There's no lockers. Right? And so it's like this big. It's like literally from this wall to right here, it's confinement. And the toilet is right by the bed. So it's even condensed. It's more condensed. Right? Unless you're in Rayford or Florida State Prison where confinement is one man cell, you in there with somebody. So you have to smell when they poop.
Oh. Yeah.
Right? When they urinate. Right? And guess what? Like the young man said earlier, when they get the food trays, suppose I have to go to the bathroom and they're giving us food. Right? You got to sit there and smell my stuff with your food.
No window.
Right?
Inside.
No window.
No window.
What did you
And that
do
little
to
vent in the back
transition
don't
from
suck hot air.
the stay and survive in the first 15 years?
Okay, so
like, how did you do
what
that?
happens is after a length of time, you establish yourself.
Okay.
And people know you. Right?
Okay.
So they, man, that's Troy. He stabbed the dude in the rock in the kitchen in front of the police.
Oh.
So okay, they got pass on that one. Right?
Okay.
But they know if that dude can get it, you can get it too.
Okay.
Right?
But not a gang.
No, so when I went to prison, it was more cliques than anything. So the guys from Miami hung out together, the guys from Jacksonville, the guys from Tampa, the guys from Orlando, and then it was like, you know, we had leaders in the clique. I always been a leader. Like I said, that was one of my problems why I stayed in prison so long. Because if all of us wasn't doing right, so if one of my homeboys sold some drugs to a dude in Jacksonville, he said it wasn't no good, then we see y'all in New York in the morning. So we go in the yard in the morning and say, man, this is Miami against Jacksonville.
Yeah,
you know, some dudes from Orlando might be on the sideline,
Yeah.
or they might be all right with one of us, so they join one of the sides, right? But now it's a whole different level. Because you got these gangs, you got Bloods, Crips, Straight Drop. And so these people from all over not only the state, from all over the country. So you have a guy from California, right, or from Louisiana, New Orleans, and he's a Blood, I'm a Blood, that's my brother.
Oh.
Right? So the thing about the gang is, it gets you in trouble because whatever my brother's in, I'm in. Right? So he said, hey, bro, let's go get this dude over here. Me and him had a beef at Calhoun. Right now, we in Rayford. Right? Me and we strapped down, getting out, we get some more brothers, we go get him. Right now, we in the box, going to see him. We might even have an outside case. Now, I came to prison with 5 years, in which we had a guy like that in our program. Mitchell Brown came to Florida State Prison 1978 with 5 years. He wound up doing 35 years because he caught murder, right? He was going home in 2 months, and the dude owed him $20. So excuse my expression, if you don't get your money, bro, you pussy.
Yeah.
Right? So, hey, go get your money, give him that knife, right? He go kill the dude. Now, in prison, they call it GP, General Principle. Say, man, I ain't killing about the $20, but it was GP. It was about $20, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because this is how you convince you, this is the environment, this is how you teach you, right?
Yeah.
So, just like right now, right? He borrowed 2 suits from me last week, right? And I said, hey, bro, when you gonna get my suit? Oh, I'm going to the park, man. My people said they're gonna send me something, so it should be here next week. Next week come, he ain't got my suit. Bro, where my suits at?
Yeah.
So, John said, man, Troy, he think you pussy.
Ooh.
So I said, okay. He on the phone,
Ooh.
right?
That's the way it goes.
Now I go to jail for 30 days, right? Might lose my visit. If I had a DR within the last year, I'm going to see him, right? About 2 suits, right? But no, it wasn't about the suits in prison. It was the principle.
Yeah. You say you
I borrowed on my word and didn't have a word of a man.
Exactly.
The manhood of
Now,
man,
not only that,
word of a man.
if he gangster, this gonna follow, because wherever we go, whenever I see him, it's a continuum.
Yeah, it goes
It's
on.
like a make your bones process the first 15 years.
No.
It's got to be understood.
Yeah, so you gotta, the first 15 years you working out. Now, if you got, and God forbid, because I know a lot of people don't have time like that. Those are the ones in trouble. You would pray to somebody. So, I mean, it depends on what you're into. So that's why I said you got to get in the right circle.
Yeah.
And people say, okay, and they might give you a pass, right? Say, oh man, he is a church dude, or he in the program, he's in peer You know what I'm saying? But that don't excuse when you go to that canteen now.
Oh, okay.
Because they're going to slide up on you. You know what I mean? Like I got the Okeechobee, dude slip on me. Hey, I don't need everything. Just give me a pair of shower slides. And
Yeah, right to you say that.
I say, you talking to me? And then one of the other little dudes, bro, nah, he down with T.O. Now he from over town, bro. Oh, you from town? I'm like, yeah, for sure. Okay, OG. That mean he gone.
You
Go
have to
find
have
somebody
your-
else.
You have to have
You
your
see what I'm saying?
respect.
Because they know what I did in the past. Right? So I'm considered what they call an OG.
OG.
Right?
what's that?
I'm original gangster.
Oh.
Right? So they gangsters, but I'm original gangster.
Oh.
Because of my longevity of surviving in that environment.
Okay.
Right? So they're gonna pass on me. Right? But now your people just coming in within the last 2-3 years, right? You got an option.
They're the new ones.
Right? So you got to pay. You know what I mean? What we call taxes, just like the IRS.
Oh.
Yeah, so don't think when your loved one going to the canteen, you say, man, I just sent you $50. What happened? You got to pay taxes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You know?
man.
Yeah, that's how it go. And be glad he gets something from it. You know what I mean? Because like I said, they come up and he might say, what you got in there? Oh, man, I need shower slides. Matter of fact, let me get that.
And if you say no, I'm not good enough for you.
It's on right there.
It's on right there?
Right there.
And you can't report that.
Yeah, you report it.
But then
Guess what? You better check in. She's been calling because I didn't get my legal work.
Yeah, you called. Oh, you're
Right? She's calling up there.
Oh, but you're.
Now they said, man, he got his people calling. They get one of them dudes out of the gang. Here go 2 bags of coffee. Get Troy.
Wait,
right?
wait, come on. So the officer what?
Might give him 2 bags of coffee to come get me.
They're
And with
in on it,
the with the
too.
stipulation, I got you. You go to jail, I got you. So what happened? I get beat up or stabbed up, and then of course the security issue. They transfer me. Right? He's in jail 30 days and back out. So everybody know this the man on the pound. He plugged in with the police. He what you call running the pound. He running the pound.
Running the pound.
Right? So and that's the way it goes. You know, that's the life of prison. You know.